Welcome to Women's Rugby Rundown 241 for April 6th through the 13th. This week, we're diving into a whirlwind of international action as the Six Nations and PAC4 both kicked off. The European Championship also had their round two, and they're moving towards a title-deciding showdown. On the domestic front, we have major playoff structures locking in the United States, Canada, and France, alongside groundbreaking pathway announcements in Australia. We're also celebrating historic milestones for the game in Cyprus, Greece, and Cambodia, while looking ahead to a massive slate of international fixtures across the globe this weekend. I'm Wendy, here to bring you the latest in women's rugby news. This is your Women's Rugby Rundown, and we're about to kick off. We'll start with international 15s news. The Six Nations delivered some great drama, and it all came through the Scotland and Wales match. It was a narrow 24-19 win by the Scots in a match that stayed tense until the final whistle. While Wales led at the break thanks to physical forward play, the Scottish side took control in the second half through clinical execution and really good tactical kicking. A late Welsh surge brought the game within 5 points, and there was a frantic period of about 8 minutes of extra time that was really exciting. But a costly handling error allowed Scotland to escape Cardiff with the victory. England extended their winning streak to 34 matches with a 33-12 bonus point win over Ireland at Allianz Stadium, successfully defending the Utrecht Shield in the process. While the Red Roses dominated the first half through Sarah Byrne's double and her superior physicality, their performance was occasionally marred by handling errors and injuries. Ireland showed impressive grit in the final quarter by scoring 2 late tries to reward their persistence against the world champions. The atmosphere surrounding this fixture was truly historic as a staggering 77,120 fans packed into Allianz Stadium to witness the contest. Filling the stands like this sends a clear message about the surging popularity of the women's game and the appetite for elite international rugby. Seeing the stadium vibrating with that much energy proves the momentum behind the Red Roses and the sport at large is reaching an entirely new level. France overcame a shaky start to secure a clinical 40-7 bonus point victory over Italy in their championship opener. Despite being pinned back by intense Italian pressure early on, which saw the Italians occupy over 80% of the territory in the first 30 minutes, France found their rhythm in the second half by scoring 5 unanswered tries. Later on Saturday evening, the PAC4 series kicked off with Canada adapting to torrential rain and a lengthy weather delay to shut out Australia 24-0 in Sacramento. Canada relied on a direct kicking game and an overwhelming forward pack, and they secured the bonus point. Canada used the encounter to blood 6 new players, successfully launching a new tournament cycle despite the difficult handling conditions. In the other PAC4 match with a bit drier conditions, the Black Ferns began their title defense with a 48-15 win over a vastly improved USA side. Although New Zealand only held a narrow lead at the break and suffered through multiple cards, their superior backline speed eventually overwhelmed the Eagles to seal a statement victory. In the European Championship, Spain crushed Portugal with a 45-5 victory to remain perfect in the standings. The Spanish side controlled the contest from the opening whistle, leaving the hosts with few opportunities to mount a challenge. This result keeps Spain level at the top with the Netherlands, who secured their own dominant 41-0 shutout over Belgium. Both teams now sit at 10 points, setting up a highly anticipated winner-take-all showdown this weekend to determine the European crown. Samoa Penina secured a historic 19-10 victory over Tonga Penina in the inaugural Battle of the Pacific. Supported by the Pacific Australian Sports Program, the fixture serves as a vital development platform for domestic talent ahead in the upcoming Oceania Women's Championship in Fiji. Coaches and officials noted that the match marked a significant step in establishing formal pathways to national selections for players based on island in both nations. Australia launched a transformative Next Gen's 15s program alongside the introduction of high-performance player agreements to secure the future of the women's game. Interest in the pathway intensified as details emerged regarding the direct contracting of over 20 high-potential young athletes, a move designed to bridge the gap between youth levels and the senior Wallaroos. Backed by the Australian Rugby Foundation, the initiative will feature inaugural under-16 and under-19 programs later this year, creating a sustainable talent pipeline ahead of the 2029 World Cup and 2032 Olympics. Philaio Dumiza, the captain of the Greece's national rugby union team, and Iraklis shared an inspiring look into the new era of Greek rugby. This includes the re-establishment of the federation and Greece's entry into Rugby Europe for the official test matches. Dumiza reflected on the transition from the domestic 7 circuit to the national team's recent 15-a-side debut against Bulgaria, highlighting the deep bond and equality shared between the men's and women's. While she acknowledged the challenges of self-funding and the need for better infrastructure, her message remained focused on mentorship and the bright future for the next generation of Greek athletes as they look to shine on the European stage. A groundbreaking initiative was announced by Zainab Alima this past Saturday to launch what could become the first Muslim women's rugby team in the United Kingdom. The project is set to debut this summer with a historic tens match focused on fostering representation and belonging for women who have historically been underrepresented in the sport. Built as a community-led effort rather than corporate venture, the organizers are currently recruiting players, creatives, and sponsors to help build the foundation from the ground up. This move reflects a growing shift in the rugby landscape to create inclusive spaces where every athlete sees a path for themselves on the pitch and feels a true sense of belonging. World Rugby has released an updated blueprint for growth report, confirming that women's rugby is the primary engine behind the sport's global expansion. We have to say that again. Women's rugby is what's driving rugby forward. Drawing on data from the record-breaking 2025 World Cup, the report reveals that nearly half of the current fan base joined within the last 2 years. The findings highlight a massive commercial shift with sponsorship revenue and broadcast hours skyrocketing compared to previous cycles. World Rugby Chief of Women's Rugby, Sally Horrocks, noted that this surge in engagement provides a powerful platform for future investment as major tournaments continue to convert a younger and more diverse audience into lifelong fans. This data underscores the sport's transformation from a niche interest into a global powerhouse of commercial value and athletic excellence. All of that is great, but as we've been saying over the last few months, every body is a rugby body, and if we continue to exclude transgender members through these bans, then we are not the diverse sport that we claim that we are. We must bring our sisters back into the fold to continue being the most diverse sport in the world. And as we look ahead, it all continues, this time with 4 different championships taking center stage across the globe. In the PAC4 series, the action shifts to Kansas City for a doubleheader at CPKC Stadium, where Canada meets New Zealand in a 2025 Rugby World Cup semifinal rematch, and the U.S. takes on Australia. Over in the Guinness Six Nations, the second round features a classic rivalry as Scotland hosts England, while Wales welcomes France and Ireland faces Italy in Dublin. In the European Championship, it's a winner-take-all showdown between Netherlands and Spain, alongside Belgium and Portugal looking for their first wins. Finally, the Oceania Championship gets underway, with Tonga meeting Fiji in the tournament opener. It's a packed slate of elite rugby. It's going to keep us busy from Friday through the weekend. We officially relaunched our Pioneer of the Pitch series this past weekend, renewing the mission to document trailblazers of American rugby and preserve the history of women who built the game. The feature returned by honoring none other than the late Kathy Flores, a foundational figure who shaped the sport as both a world champion player and a historic coach. The tribute detailed her journey from leading Florida State to national titles to playing in the inaugural 1991 Women's Rugby World Cup and winning with the United States. It also highlighted her groundbreaking coaching career, where she became the first woman of color to lead a national team and was instrumental in transitioning Brown University to varsity status. While her passing in 2021 was a massive loss for the community, her legacy lives on through the Kathy Flores Memorial Fund and this open call to nominate the next generation of visionaries for the series. Now let's jump over to international sevens. Cyprus women's rugby reached a historic milestone this past Saturday by hosting the first ever full contact women's matches on the island during the National Sevens Championship in Limassol. The event served as a major stepping stone toward the goal of international competition in 2027, with 7 local players now set to join the wider Cypriot diaspora for an upcoming training camp in England this May. Team officials and players celebrated the performance as a breakthrough for the sport's development, emphasizing that the project aims to build a competitive national side while providing that rugby in Cyprus is a game for everyone. Cambodia's national rugby leaders celebrated the growing of the PPS rugby team as the women's sevens champions this past weekend at the National Rugby Championship in Phnom Penh. Following the tournament, Federation President Samadi Loon issued a call for expanded participation, highlighting a strategic goal to establish women's teams in every province to grow the sport's currently limited player base. Now let's get into domestic and club news. In the Americas, USA Club Rugby reached a critical point in their postseason as the majority of unions held their local championships or semifinals across the country. Verified results from these title matches are expected later this week, where we will provide a first look at the upcoming super regional brackets, with seeding set to be released shortly. Teams are now preparing for the trek towards the national rounds, and the intensity is building as local champions will look to test themselves at the regional stage. In Canada, the BC Premier Division wrapped up its regular season this past Saturday. The Vancouver Thunderbirds closed out their schedule with a dominant 62-10 victory over West Shore, while Burnaby Lake secured a 27-12 win against league leaders Mariloma. Despite the weekend loss, Mariloma finishes the season at the top of the table, with Burnaby Lake following closely in second. The playoff structure is now locked in for the quarterfinals on April 25th, semifinals on May 2nd, and the grand final on May 9th. The Cal women's rugby team is facing a critical crossroads following the university's decision to dissolve the administrative agency for sports clubs. Despite reaching the national championship game last year and producing numerous international stars, the team has been stripped of access to its endowment, insurance, and even its official name. While the program continues to rack up wins this season, players are currently forced to practice in public parks and personally fund their own travel. In response, the team has launched a renewed fight for varsity status to address the stark funding gap and safety concerns, and they're calling on the community to support their struggle for equity as they battle to save one of the most successful women's programs at UC Berkeley. Over in Europe, round 15 of the AXA Elite 1 concluded this past weekend, with the league's top 4 teams officially separating themselves from the rest of the pack in an overwhelming fashion. ASM Romagna remains at the top of the table after a 25-0 shutout of FC Grenoble, but Stade Toulousain is only a single point behind after grinding out a 13-0 win over Blagnac. Stade Bordelais kept hold of third place with a 28-13 victory against Montpellier, while the gap between 4th and 5th has become almost insurmountable. The final 3 rounds will now serve as a race for seeding between Romagna and Toulouse as they look to secure home field advantage for the postseason. The Nigeria AIL League Final is officially set for Aviva Stadium on April 26th after a weekend of semi-final action. Defending champions UL Bohemian secured their return trip with a hard-fought 24-17 victory over Old Belvedere, where late tries finally broke the 12-all deadlock in grueling conditions. They will be met in the final by Blackrock, who delivered a defensive masterclass to upset Railway Union 18-10. Blackrock's victory ended Railway's incredible 15-match winning streak, and the result sets up a season finale between the league's top 2 sides, who finished the regular season deadlocked on points and are now ready to battle for the ultimate crown. And finally, as Oceania gears up for the Super W and the Super Rugby Opaki, we have rosters for the latter. Super Rugby Opaki rosters were officially set, featuring a mix of 33 debutants and seasoned internationals ahead of the season opener in June. The defending champion Blues have retained a core of 9 Black Ferns, while rival squads picked up a few of their own. With 9 Black Ferns Sevens players and 4 international representatives joining the competition, the league is gearing up for its most competitive season yet. The addition of star fullback Renee Holmes to the Hurricanes POA and the return of Aisha Latigia provides serious stability and leadership to a competition that is quickly becoming one of the most exciting professional leagues. That does it for us. As always, there's more news on our site at yscrugby.com. Never miss an episode of Women's Rugby Rundown by grabbing it with all your podcasts that you normally listen to.